Hey Clubbers, welcome to another episode of DVC Clubhouse. We've got some new guests with us this week, but first, as always, Amy Powers with us. Hi, Amy.
Hey, everyone.
And joining us from our group are Mitch and Hannah. Welcome, guys. We appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks so much for having us.
Hi, thanks.
So before we get started into your DVC story, why don't you tell us a little bit about you guys and your family and, where you live, those kinds of things?
Sure.
You go ahead.
All right. So we're Mitch and Hannah Flatt. We're from the Illinois side of St. Louis, so kind of south central Illinois. We have 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. They're 6, 5, and our son is 2 today. Today's his birthday. So if you're going to run around upstairs, apologies for that. Grandparents are trying to keep them under control. But yeah, that's us. You have anything to add?
No, it's we're happy to be here, and we love Disney and DVC, so excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Happy birthday to the boy. That's awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your Disney story? When did you guys start going to Disney? Has this been a lifelong thing, a recent thing?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, I started in 1988 as a 2-year-old with my parents. Stayed at Caribbean Beach. I still have a few memories from that trip at Magic Kingdom, and I remember being so close to the fireworks. This is one of my earliest Disney memory. I don't know if it's positive or not, but when the fireworks went off, some of the residue from the fireworks that came down and touched us, I'll never forget that. So,
literally sprinkled with pixie dust. That's awesome.
Literally, and I guess they weren't as safe as in the 80s, So it's quite a lifelong experience for me. And I went all the time up through the time I was, in high school when my parents were paying, of course. I remember the 25th anniversary Cake Castle vividly, and I think we even have family photos. I'll see if my parents will, give us some of those for the video. And then once I got into high school or after high school into college, money became tight as I was supporting my own self. And so trips to Disney became less frequent. And, we eventually got married. We paid for our wedding. And a few years after we were married, we made our first trip. We went back with my sister, who's 5 years younger than me. And that was, I believe, your first Disney trip.
It was. Yeah, I did not grow up going to Disney. So I first went as an adult. And, I very much not growing up going to Disney World, but I enjoy it now as an adult, and I enjoy, seeing it through my kids' eyes now as a grown up. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that was right before COVID. And, so it was the 3 adults that went, and we had a great time, and we're like, our kids are getting old enough. I want to bring to them what I had growing up. And we priced out what we thought was an ideal trip, and it would be to stay at the Contemporary. And I had tickets, and we just had the 2 girls at that time. And, it was like $11,000 for a week. And I thought, wow, that's, that's a lot of money, and I thought maybe this will be a one and done. And then I thought about, I went almost every year as a child, and we found DVC. We didn't know anything about DVC. We saw the little stands in the park. We didn't even go up to the stands because we thought, no, that's probably not something we'll do. But, we researched, and we were just about ready to buy. And then Disney laid off their entire sales cast member force for DVC directly. And, we waited 2 or 3 months. And then in the first wave of direct guide rehires, we purchased 200 points at Riviera. Our first welcome home trip was actually to Bay Lake Tower, just me and you, I think, for my birthday there in 2020. And it was interesting to see Disney, and I know it's been talked about many times in the reopening phases. And since then, we've been on several trips, stayed at Kidani, Bay Lake again. We're also an owner at Grand Floridian. And what am I missing? I've stayed at Polynesian with the girls, but not you. So we've been to a lot of them, and it's something that we really enjoy, and we've got 2 more trips already scheduled, and who knows, maybe we'll sneak in the Clubhouse weekend. So we'll see.
Very cool. Yeah, we'd love to have you, definitely. So you own at, did you say Riviera and Grand Floridian?
Yes, 200 at Riviera and 420 at Grand Floridian. And that came. We bought 200 on the resale market, and or two no, it's 220 on the resale market. And then when the direct sales went back up, we took advantage of incentives and got 200 more. So,
Good for
um,
you.
the Grand Floridian for me is, you talk about welcome home and Disney. We never stayed in Grand Floridian level accommodations when I went all those times as a child, adolescent, and into high school. And I just remember going across the boat and looking out to the left and saying, one day I'm gonna make enough money. I'm gonna stay over there. And so, we've probably ended up with more Grand Floridian points than we needed, just because I remember, from a child saying, man, when I make it, I'm gonna stay there. So now we do. We stay there at least once or twice a year. So
That's amazing.
To me, and Amy, you can back me up on this. How many people we've interviewed in the last couple of months that are like Hannah, that first trip as an adult 2 years ago, like COVID must have been magical in a different way because so many people started going as adults. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our favorite trips when just the two of us go. I mean, it's fun to see the kids enjoy it, but they get tired and dragging them around. We get tired dragging them around, and when we can just go and kind of do our own thing as adults, those are my favorite trips, at least.
Wait till
absolutely,
they get to be teenagers, because they'll be the ones dragging you around. And you'll
Yeah.
still really value that adult only trip, because then you get to just sit and relax. Because my girls are 18 and 15, and I swear they just like run me ragged through the parks. They are like, want to rope drop until park close. I'm getting too old for that. So they run me ragged. I'm the one that is like exhausted by the end of the night, and I love my solo trips so that I can just sit and relax and take advantage of how great the resorts are.
yeah. Our most recent trip, and I think I was live posting this to the Clubhouse blog, but we actually went to Victoria and Albert's, and we're sitting there saying, these Disney dining trips you just have to be adults only. There's so much to do for the children there, but you know, maybe people do. I didn't see any, but I don't think children, even pre high school, should go to Victoria and Albert's. So
Yeah.
I would agree. In fact, with my palate, I'm a chicken fingers and fries kind of guy. I'm not sure I would enjoy Victoria and Albert's,
He
but I
really
want to try it.
his horizons during that meal, I
yeah,
think.
I'm pretty basic when it comes to food, but I said, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna have the whole experience. I don't care what they bring out, I'm gonna eat it. So
Mhm.
it was
That's
it was
awesome. Good for you.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did it
That's awesome.
recently too, and I had done it years ago, probably about 20 years ago, and I hadn't been back, and I just did it recently, and it's just, I mean, you forget that you're in Disney World. You're just like in this amazing, beautiful, just attentive service. It is quiet and peaceful, and the food's amazing. That harp playing, you're like, did I die and go to heaven? Am I in heaven right now?
I think he was already planning our return reservation to go there,
yeah.
like right after we left.
Yeah, our waitress gave a special card with a special number, to get on, a list that may or may not bypass the 60-day window. So we'll see what happens there.
That's
Well,
awesome.
that'll
Good
be a
for you
nice.
guys.
That's a nice little trick. I was gonna say, so you're a family of five now, and so you have all of these points. When you stay, what size units do you stay in typically?
Well, that's this is a debate, and I'm sure she's got her side of this too. And at this point, we've not taken our youngest yet, and so whenever I take the girls, so typically the way we do trips, we do an adults trip, the two of us. I take the girls for their birthday. Last year, I took them solo for their birthday, and then we do a big week-long family trip. So we took her mother last September, and we got a two-bedroom at Kidani. For the girls, when it's just me and them, we'll get a studio. But our next trip with the family, without her mother, just the five of us, four or five of us. We haven't even finalized that, but we're staying at a beach club, one bedroom, in August. So, you know, we've got tentative plans. Her brother just had a son, and we're thinking about getting a grand villa probably 2 years from now. So I think we're going to have experience with with every size. But when it's just a couple of us, we'll do the studio. Like our last trip, we stayed at Grand Floridian Studio, but we just simply won't fit in a studio anymore. So
Yeah.
we'll need the points, and it works out.
Yeah, and I'm spoiled by the laundry machines, and they're not in the studios. So, especially when we have the kids, it's nice to be able to, pack less and do some laundry while we're there. So that's the one bedroom or larger is what I'm biased toward.
But when my kids were younger, we used to stay in the larger units all the time. Just so, I mean, I only have 2 kids, but it was just nice to be able to, have everyone have their own space. But as they've gotten older and we spend less time in the room, and I just want to be able to travel more frequently, we've been staying in the studio. But this past December, I got upgraded to a 2-bedroom at Boulder Ridge. And I forgot how much I love having the washing machine. I was like, I can do laundry, and it just made me laugh. So I'm like, I'm on vacation, and I'm celebrating the fact that I have a washer and dryer in the room so that I can do laundry. But it's like a nice little perk to just be able to throw in a small load and have clean clothes and not have to deal with it when you come home.
It is. Yeah, it's sad to do laundry on your vacation and to like be happy about it, but it's a thing.
Yeah, laundry at DVC is different than laundry at home.
More
It's true.
magical.
We just got back from a trip, and we were in a 1-bedroom at Boardwalk, and I've actually never actually used the washing machine. We have stuff in our owner's locker to use them, like we have some Tide Pods and some fabric softener, whatever. But there was an issue with wine and and spilling, and it was the first time we used it, and we ended up just doing a whole like we didn't have to do laundry when we got home. It was fantastic. We just put stuff right away, and it was great. But 1-bedrooms, I think that are my favorite. The more and more I go, I hate going back to
Yeah.
studios. It feels like just another hotel room, honestly. So
The studios, most of them technically sleep 5, but imagining our family of 5 in that one space together is just not. I'm just not a fan of that situation.
And she's spoiled from the very beginning, because when we did our welcome home stay, I booked a 1-bedroom at Bay Lake, and that was the standard. That was her opening DVC moment. So then when we went to a studio, she's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, it's different when you have small kids, because I mean, I remember having small kids, and to be able to put them to bed and like leave the room versus everyone trying to go to sleep at the same time. Like the kids are talking, staring at you, getting out of bed, wanting to come over. It's nice to be able to have that little bit of separation. But and it's what I've loved about DVC so much, because it really, like, it grows with you and it evolves with you and your needs. And so my needs back then when my kids were little was we were going to travel probably once a year for a week or so in a larger unit. Now, I want to be able to go 6 times a year for 2 or 3 nights. And so staying in a studio is perfect. And because I literally have gone to bed before my kids have come back from the park some nights. So again, I'm the one who's like going to sleep early, but the studio works fine then, because we don't really occupy the space the way that we occupied the space when the kids were smaller. So you just have it's so nice to be able to have that flexibility to choose and to decide what works best for you, and also to then be able to invite your family to come and be able to have the larger accommodations. And it's been a while since I've well, that's not true. I did just take a trip with my daughter and my sister and my nephew, and we stayed in the studios that Sleep 5, so that my nephew could be on the pull out, um Murphy, the twin Murphy. And again, because we weren't in the room that much, that was fine. But I'm this December coming up, I got a 2-bedroom, so that I can invite family and we can kind of have 3 nights just hanging out in the holidays at Disney. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's a nice thing to be able to travel with your family and have that experience.
Yeah, my mom had so much fun when she went with us last year. She hadn't been to Disney World since like 1988 or something. She was like, oh wow, this is so great. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to share that with some of our people who haven't been in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's got well, our nephew has special needs, and so planning out his trip, and we're going to take them. We're going to have a great grand villa. It's going to be so much easier for her brother and our and sister-in-law. So we'll probably be at Grand Floridian, and that'll probably be the Grand Villa trip. So, and DVC and Disney generally is so fantastic with kids in that condition. So
definitely, that's awesome. That's great. So you stayed at run through your list of where you've stayed at again.
Riviera, Bay Lake, Grand Floridian, Kidani, and Polynesian. So
Okay. So out of those, what's your favorite? This is always a hard question.
I'll let you go first. I have favorites at different times. So
Riviera is my favorite.
Yes. Somebody's on my team.
I would, this is going to sound crazy. So, my long time obsession with Grand Floridian is what it is. I was affected probably too much by Splash Mountain closing. And so the appeal to be in go into the Magic Kingdom is just a little lower than it normally is. I still love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit lower than it used to be. I'm sure it'll bounce back, but Riviera and the Skyliner, a lot of my old favorites I can be to very quickly as well. So I'm on Team Riviera as well. And it was our first resort, so we've got that sentimental.
It was a 1-bedroom too. It was really nice suite. So
I will die on this hill, but the 1-bedroom at Riviera is the best room on Disney property, hands down.
It was great because I love Grand Floridian too. I'm a big Mary Poppins fan, so I love their kind of retheming with the Mary Poppins look. But we had a studio at Grand Floridian, and you know how I feel about studios. So.
We were trapped in a 1-bedroom for Hurricane Ian, so we really got to know that room for 3 straight days, and yeah, I would live there quite comfortably. So
the amenities at Riviera are really nice too. You're nice and close to that little cafe and the little shop where we pick up our jugs of milk and water bottles, and it's just everything is well within reach right there.
Yeah, I mean, come to think of it, that's the only resort we've stayed at to where, even though each resort has amenities and it has a store, it's the only one where you can get on the elevator and go straight down and pick something up. I mean, we stayed in Moria in Polynesian, which is great, to be close to the TTC. And then Bay Lake, of course, you got to walk across the bridge. And our time at Kidani, we spent a week at Kidani, and I have a step meter, and I think we were on the complete opposite end of the lobby. And I think one day I came back, I said, I think it's 1,600 steps round trip, So I had a refillable mug one day. I filled it up, and then by the time I got back to the room, I'd already drank everything in the refillable mug. I was ready to go back again. So we had the full.
I remember staying there one year, and we were staying in the Pumbaa section all the way down, and I needed to go to the lobby, and I think the round trip took me 45 minutes. And I mean, some of that time was doing what I needed to do, but that was like relatively quick. I mean, it just took forever.
Yeah, I think we were legitimately lost right when we got there. We couldn't find the lobby even. We're like, I don't know which way it is. Where do we go? We had to ask people how to get to the lobby.
But we've on every resort. It's just Riviera fits us because I don't know, we when we want something, we want it right now, and I think Riviera fits our personality.
Well, and I just stayed at Caribbean Beach for one night after taking a cruise, and I didn't. And although from the Riviera you can see Caribbean Beach, and the last time I stayed at Caribbean Beach, it was before Riviera was built. It was I probably stayed in the building where Riviera is now. But so I never really kind of explored, Riviera in relation to Caribbean Beach. And we stayed in a building that was right by the Riviera Skyliner when we were at Caribbean Beach. And I thought to myself, like, why have I never walked over from Riviera because even like their pool bar is awesome, and they just like have some great amenities over there, and that just expands what is available to you when you're staying at Riviera, which is really nice because it just opens up and I've never eaten at Sebastian's at Caribbean Beach, but people love it. So I mean, I feel like that's something that is um the next time I stay at Caribbean Beach, I'll probably take more advantage of heading over there because it's not that far of a walk.
It's not, and it's really pretty. Like, especially if you're kind of at the twilight end of the day, the sun's going down. To walk over to Sebastian's, or what's the name of that bar? Bananas,
And a
or
cabana.
Banana. That's the one. Um, I think that's arguably one of the best pool bars on property too. Like, there's plenty of seats, and I don't know. I love it over there. I really do. I don't love the point charts at Riviera, but I love everything else about it. So
Yeah. No, one thing that is on our list to do, and I know your love of Old Key West from all the previous videos. You know, we're also big fans of Universal, and we do an annual Universal trip as well, and we've got all these DVC points, and the point charts at an Old Key West, at a Saratoga. If we had more of a Universal focused trip, we could stay there, and drive over, and we I think I stayed in Old Key West when it was the DVC resort on cash in the early '90s, but I haven't confirmed that with my parents. And when in the twilight of the Magical Express, we ended up at Old Key West one day as well, and I just really like the feeling of that place as well. So that's
yeah,
actually our probably next resort that we're going to try out that we haven't been to. So
Yeah, that's where I'm doing my December trip with my family in the 2 bedroom because it's definitely the biggest 2 bedroom on property. It just has the most space. I want to put up a Christmas tree. Like I just want it to feel really homey. And so that is where I opted to do that because it gives it just of all of the resorts, that 2 bedroom kind of gives you the most space and the most homey feel. And the point chart, really, the point chart can't be beat. I mean, I was just looking to book a short trip in August to do. It's in preparation of the clubhouse weekend to go down there and just kind of finalize some details. But I could get 3 nights in a studio at Old Key West for what I could almost get it at for one night at Riviera or Grand Floridian, which really, I mean, I, everybody has their priorities, and for me it's maximizing time. And so Old Key West will always be at the top of my list because I think it's pretty. I think it's the vibe is so great, and if I can stay there for several nights and only pay 10 night points a night, then sign me up.
yeah, I mean Riviera's largest negative is the point chart. When we had a one bedroom at Riviera booked, and then the for the trip in August when we're going to stay at Beach Club, um, and I actually saved points by moving to a one bedroom at Beach Club from Riviera. And I think if it takes about 3 seconds on any of these Disney fan sites to see which one's more appealing, and it is what it is. We've got plenty of points, but it sure made me feel good whenever I saved like an extra 27 points or something by switching from a one bedroom to a Riviera, to Beach Club. So
Yeah, and Beach Club is my first home resort and my home resort since 2002. So I have a very, very soft spot in my heart for it. I love it. So when you have a points chart that is as attractive as beach clubs and you can walk to Epcot in 5 minutes from your room,
oh yeah,
then I mean that's magical.
We're looking forward to that. Definitely.
absolutely.
this last trip that we went on, we were at a one bedroom and boardwalk the whole time, and it was the first time that I ever actually walked to Hollywood Studios. I get down there and I lose all sense of space, but we drove a lot because we were looking for houses, and the number of times that I drove to Epcot by accident is really embarrassing. But to be able to be in that area and walk to Epcot, walk to Hollywood Studios, it was such an easy walk. Like, I was like, how have we never done this before? Walking to the Skyliner takes longer than walking to the the park itself. So I don't know.
Yeah, and people
I'm
don't
still
realize
learning.
with boardwalk when they think about walking, they think that you need to like go to the lobby, walk down the stairs, go out to the boardwalk, loop all the way around. Not that you can go out one of those stairwells and be let out like right on that path behind the resort, and then it's less than
Yeah.
a 10-minute walk from there.
I'm a fan of Boardwalk. I hope to stay there. Honestly, I would like to own there as well, but the 2042 issue, it really prevents me. Being 36, our children's are still small. I think whenever it would expire, we would be very disappointed because we'd still want to use it. So hopefully we could get there in the 7-month window. But
Yeah,
you know,
and out of all the 2042 resorts, I think if we were going to bet on one, that Disney's definitely going to repackage, and that's going to be the one because the point charts are so crazy low for both of those
oh yeah,
Epcot resorts, and
Yeah.
they have no business being. So
They don't. They really don't. Well, and I mean, and I think that that's why people in recent years have seen it's become more difficult to book, because I used to. So, although Beach Club was my home resort, I have stayed at Boardwalk more because the standard view studio points at Boardwalk are even lower than, the studio points at Beach Club. And people have become so keen to that because there are people who just want to make the most of their, make their points go as far as they can. And so it's become much more difficult because now you have these resorts that are much higher points charts. And so people, like, on that 7-month window, if there is availability, it is gone in a pinch because people are waiting and like just waiting to pounce on a low point studio at Boardwalk or then Beach Club.
yeah, I think that's probably our greatest advantage at this point. We have grown our family to the size that we don't really fit into this more sought after categories. So we're in the unpopular room sizes at this. If there is an unpopular, but the least sought after room sizes. So I think you say those cheap standard studios. That's probably gone with the wind for us. So
Yeah.
well, and you said that you wanted to stay at Boardwalk. My advice to you would be wait for that refurb that's coming because I loved the room, but it was in you could tell it's old. Like I made a lot of jokes about it being like my grandma's 1990s living room because just the colors and the style it needs some help, but it's awesome.
I just stayed at Beach Club before the cruise, and I had one of the refurbed studios that has the Murphy bed in it. Um, and that was nice because I've been, the last couple of times I've been staying at the Beach Club, it also had the same kind of like, it's wear and tear, I mean, people live in these rooms and they're well loved. But it was nice to be in a fresh room at the Beach Club and feel like everything was fresh and bright, and all of the whites were very bright, and the wood was, I mean, they didn't replace every element, but it was enough to kind of give it a little bit of a boost.
I think our next trip is going to be to either Boulder Ridge or Copper Creek. We've really been excited about staying over there. And to your point, part of the reason why we've not booked that is because we were waiting for the Boulder Ridge refurb to happen, like everybody else, the much delayed Boulder Ridge. But on our next trip, with the girls, we're doing storybook dining over there, and we've been over there for that before, and we just really love the vibe. And that's the great part of DVC is, we've done so much, we've stayed so many places, but we've not stayed at either of those resorts, and it's just really something to look forward to.
Well, that's good. That leads me into my next question, actually, because you've only stayed at a few. Um, do you have a least favorite that you've stayed at so far, or
He does. You do.
Yeah. So here's the controversial part of the video.
I love it.
Look, I've heard so many people say so many great things about Polly. To me, you've got a ginormous bathroom, then a small bathroom right next or a half bath right next to it. And then you've kind of got a cramped living quarters with the fold out, the queen, and then the fold down. And to me, I love the location of those studios. And I just stayed there with our 5-year-old daughter. Um, and it just was not my feel. I love the location. I love the amenities of the resort, but as far as the room, it's been my least favorite room I've been in at DVC. So I'm sure all the nasty comments are coming, but that's the truth for me.
No, I can see that though, because I think if it's just two of you, that room could work really well. But if you actually have four people in that room, it's too small. There's
Well,
not.
I think conversely, like I think that having small kids, that room doesn't actually make sense because you're probably bathing your kids. Like you don't need two showers because
Right.
you're gonna you're throwing your kids into the bathtub and then you guys are taking turns probably getting ready while somebody watches it. I traveled with my sister and our teenage kids, and it worked really well because there were four of us that were getting ready at the same time and everyone gets themselves ready. So to have
Yeah.
the two showers and the two spaces, but that's again, it's like where like the evolution of your needs or who you're traveling with, like it will change. And so I can see, like if I had small kids, I would not stay at the Poly for that reason because I wouldn't even need that second shower. But traveling, like when your kids are teenagers, you might be like, oh my gosh, this is a godsend. And because that one bathroom is really, I mean, that one bathroom, the one with the tub and shower, is so big that I actually worked out in there one day. Like
You could put a cot in there if you needed
He was saying
additional
it
capacity.
felt like a
it
lot of
is,
wasted space, I think.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's quite big, but it is when you've got teenagers who are scrambling for counter space to get ready, then you're like, oh, okay, this works. So it might fit your needs more when you have two teenage girls and a teenage boy who just wants to quickly take a shower and be like out. You might be thankful for that space then, but now I can totally see that.
No, of the ones you've stayed at fewer than me.
Yeah.
You had a few harsh things to say about Kidani, but that was pre-refurb too. So
Yeah, I mean, I hate to, say that I didn't like any of them because I liked all of them. I think the room that I liked the least was probably Bay Lake Tower, just because it did feel kind of dated and just I don't know, not as sharp as some of the other rooms that we've stayed in. But as far as location goes, you can't beat Bay Lake Tower. So I hate to knock it too much, but I've enjoyed every room we've been in. I think.
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
I'm the same way with Bay Lake Tower. I always say that's my least favorite. However, I stayed there recently and was very happy there. So I mean, we're talking when we're talking about our least favorite, it's really like picking
Right.
between our children.
Right? Yeah. I mean, walking to Magic Kingdom, like from there and from Grand Floridian, like that was a really easy walk, for two of us at least. We didn't have the kids that we were dragging along, but you can't beat being able to walk to Magic Kingdom. So
Yeah.
Do you see yourself ever using your points off Disney World property?
Yes. Just watching the Hilton Head golf tournament this week and seeing some of the posts from the folks that are staying at the Hilton Head Resort, I'm like, man, I need to do that next year. And we initially had planned to go to Alani this year. Some things happened, and we just really couldn't, have that block of time and the way we were using the points, anyways. But I think Alani is our next really big adults only trip to spoil the two of us and get that oceanfront view and just relax for a little while in Hawaii. So we actually plan to go to all the resorts at one time or another. Our kids, well, Reagan especially, she's all about Vero Beach.
they want to go to the beach so bad.
So bad. So I don't know. We might even try to squeeze that in this year. So, but hopefully we're blessed to stay at every single resort. We're just on our way.
Yeah, Vero Beach is a great add-on to a Disney World trip.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. What about, you kind of talked about what's next. What about a DVC bucket list item? Like, what's something that DVC has opened for you as an opportunity that you maybe want to try, or something that you haven't done that's DVC adjacent?
Do you have? I need to think for a second.
For me, there's a lot of ways to answer that. I'm not sure that we would spend as much time or have as much add-ons in Hawaii if we had to actually pay for a resort or a room. And so I think, using points to stay at Alani, it really, really opens up the funds to do some of the helicopter tours, some of the, the other great things that Hawaii has to offer, because you go to budget that trip, you know, if it's just the two of us, it's one thing, but if I took the whole family, you know, it gets to be significant. I won't share the budget I worked out in my mind, but it's a much more it's a much more economical trip. And so I would say from that front, it gives us the opportunity to really do Hawaii the right way. As far as things DVC bucket list at Disney, I think there is no way we would ever stay in a grand villa or a cabin. We talked. She's got another one of her best friends, or maybe your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
She is Disney obsessed, and you know we've finally got them to allow us to get a cabin at some point and just do a couples trip in a cabin. So there's no way we would have ever done that without DVC points. So those are really my two, and maybe hope I didn't steal yours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything specific, but just, the fact that we and our kids can go to Disney once a year is spoiled, but now we're going multiple times a year, and that never would be possible without our DVC points. So, I thought he was crazy initially when he was like, "Oh yeah, we should get DVC points." I was like, you're a financial advisor. You think we should get a timeshare? Like, I don't know about that, but it ended up being a good thing for us, and we're taking trips that we never would have been able to take before. So I'm just really grateful for that.
And we've had annual passes throughout. We were not part of the melee for the folks trying to get passes last week. So we've used our annual passes quite well. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and
so true. I was gonna say it's so true. Like the Alani thing. I was supposed to go to Disneyland in April of 2020, and it was canceled. And then it took forever for Disneyland to reopen. And so I had these airline vouchers on. I live in New Jersey. They were on Alaska Airlines. There's not many places you can go from Newark, New Jersey on Alaska Airlines. Honolulu is one of them. And I never would have, just been like, "Oh, I'll just go to Hawaii instead." But I did, and it was because of DVC. Like I was able to use those vouchers and use the points that I was going to use to go to Disneyland and take my daughter to Hawaii, which that seems like an absurd thing to just be like, "Oh, well, I'll just go to Hawaii instead." Like it's like so casual and nonchalant, but DVC really makes it that easy and opens up an opportunity for you to do something that you probably would not have otherwise considered.
Yeah, and Mitch is so smart with all the points and just being able to make the most of all of our points, and then to know, to rent them out if we're not going to be able to use them, and to bank and borrow. He's, all that stuff that we normals can't wrap our heads around. Like he's got that down pat. So he's really good about making sure we make the most of our points. Definitely.
Yeah, and airline points. We have Southwest direct here from St. Louis, and so between the Southwest credit card, the companion pass, plus DVC points, I joke around at how economical Disney is for us, compared to what I hear people spending on just really nice trips, to other places. But we've kind of got our groove with Disney, and I wouldn't change a bit about it. So
that's awesome. So one of the things we also like to ask is, we all have our Instagrams. Well, it sounds like Hannah has social media absent, but most of us have our social media footprint that we post all of our highlight reel on. Is there a story that you want to tell that you kind of have left out of your highlight reel and on the cutting room floor? A Disney error, perhaps?
we've made plenty of mistakes.
You go ahead and take that one.
So, I didn't bring this up when you were talking about the walking path from, Beach Club to Hollywood Studios. And so when I took my daughter last year over the 4th of July for her 6th birthday, this is not really a DVC error, so to speak. We were staying at Riviera, and the theme of this trip was, oh, she really wants to ride Guardians, and she wants to do Tower of Terror. I'm just going to take the Skyliner back and forth. Well, we had a day where the Skyliner was down due to weather, and we had lunch at 50's prime time, and then we had to get back to get into our virtual queue line that we had got for Guardians, and then we had used our Genie after that to be at the Hollywood Tower of Terror, and then we had to go back for our individual Lightning Lane. And so my biggest Disney planning mistake was a Riviera-based trip, just banking on, hey, that Skyliner is going to be available. And no, we walked that path, three different times just to get to our reservations, and the thing that my 6-year-old really wanted to do, because it was so tight. We're like, we could walk it in 25 minutes. I'm not going to trust this bus to get me there because everybody's in the bus port. And so we would just go back and forth. And so that was my biggest planning fail. But I think I got my 30,000 steps that day, and my 6-year-old really fell asleep quite well. So.
Yeah, that's a long journey. It's great one way. That's a long journey if you have to do it a lot.
Well, and then to go to Guardians, that's like the absolute farthest you can get in Epcot away from the path. So that was, that just was a little cherry on top of the mistake. So
I did a race with my kids. I walked from Epcot, from International Gateway. One took the Skyliner, one took the boat, and the boat was there, so she didn't have to wait for the boat. And I walked, and I won by 6 minutes. I arrived. So the walking path from International Gateway to Hollywood Studios is definitely the quickest way to go. Now, I didn't have a 6-year-old in tow, but it was just me.
She did turns of me carrying her. She skipped, she ran. Some of it was she walked. So she thought it was fun. I less so. I was stressed about missing Lightning Lanes and missing dinner, but she thought it was great. So it was her trip. So
yeah, we had a similar experience this last trip. We were there with some friends that don't go as often, and so we kind of let them pick what they wanted to do. And our friends had the disability pass, so I let them be in charge of that because I don't know anything about that, right? And put us on it, and they booked us our Lightning Lanes. We went from Soarin' to Remy to Guardians to Frozen to Test Track, and then dinner at Chefs de France. Like, I walked Epcot more than I've ever walked Epcot on that one trip, and it was the first day, and I was done for the rest of the day. Like, we got up for Animal Kingdom the next day, and I'm like, I don't know if I can go. Like, I'm so out of shape. It was awful.
Oh yeah, the kids will run you to death, but it's fantastic. And I've been trying to get in better shape. I think, other thing I left on the cutting room floor. Also on that trip, I had got to the point where I was too big for some rides, which, that's a tough pill to swallow, but it made me hit the gym. So, we got back from that trip, my daughter and I think July the 6th of last year, and I joined Planet Fitness, and the following week, and I quickly dropped 6 months, I dropped 45 pounds by eating better and working out every day. So, Disney, I think that's probably in my life one of the lowest moments, whenever you realize that you're too big to fit on a particular ride. It prompted some really positive life changes for me. But
that's awesome. See, I've got friends that are trying to get me to run Disney, and I tell them it'll never happen, but that would probably do it. Yeah, I'd probably
look
do
back
it. Good
at
for you.
5-year-old, Daddy can't fit. That's a sobering moment.
Well, good for you. That's awesome that you made that life change. That's great. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
I was just going to say, kind of talking about that whole, the sprinting back and forth to try to get to everything with our DVC points. We don't feel like we have to do that so much anymore. Yeah. Like, the first trip or two with the kids, we were doing the I call it the Disney Death March. He doesn't like it, but that's what it is. Because, now we sprint to get to everything, got to get there first thing to get on this coaster or whatever. Now we don't have to do that. And it makes it more enjoyable for me, at least, just being able to go and kind of pick and choose the things that we like to do, and not having to feel like we have to fit everything in during every trip. So that's a big positive for me.
Us
I don't
too.
have anything else to add, but just hoping to grow the club. If my work schedule works out, I hope to see everybody in September. But we don't have any social medias really to plug. I'm a member of the Facebook group. You can find me, but yeah, we don't have any agenda or business associated with this, but we're happy to meet. And hopefully, if anybody's there in the first weekend in June, I'll have both girls, and I'll be sitting at the Grand Floridian pool by myself. So if anybody wants to talk DVC, I'll be there. But it's just a great community, and thank you guys for putting it together.
Well, we
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
that, and maybe I'll be living there by end of June, so I'll stop over and say hi. Hopefully,
Excellent.
we would love to see you guys in September. We want as many people to come to that event as we can possibly get. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because
we
I
We've
mean
would.
got
that's another part of DVC that's been unexpected for me, especially in the past 3 to 4 years, is the just the connections with other members and the community that has been built, because it's a lot of fun. It's you probably know people in your everyday life don't necessarily understand this, and so to have people in your life who do is really nice.
Oh yeah, we like everybody else have been told how crazy we are with the amount of times we go to Disney. They're like, "Don't you want to do something else?" I was like, "Yeah, but this is where we're going." So, but
Yeah,
it's so great to see so many people like us.
we've definitely found our people for sure, and I love it. So, anything else you wanted to add, Amy?
No, just thank you again both for taking time out of your day on your son's birthday. It was so nice it's always so nice to be able to chat with people who are members of the community who we see on Facebook, and to just, be able to talk about something that we love.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks again for joining in, and thanks again for everybody else for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on our socials. Amy is absolutely killing it on TikTok, so if you're out there in the world, it is amazing the content that she's put up there. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, and with that, we'll DVC you real soon. Bye everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.